Welcome to the Audio Variety Show. This is our very first episode, and I am your host, Cam. First of all, I'd like to thank our sponsor for this week, Dollar Shave Club. For only 99 cents, you too can groom an adolescent bear. Dollar Shave Club. Join today. So every week on this show, we'll take a look at a song that's been on my mind. It might be old, it might be new, it might be heavy, it might be sweet, but I guarantee you one thing, it will be a song. All right, our first song of the week is I Speak Astronomy by Ginger. That's Jinjer, Ginger. Ginger is a metal band from Ukraine. Current members are apparently Vladislav Ulesevich, Eugene Abyakhanov, Roman Ibram Kalivov, and Tatiana Smilyuk. We'll go with that. Tatiana Smilyuk on vocals. I don't know how to say her name, but I've been watching a lot of live performances, and I've decided she has the best legs in metal. Better than Maria Brink, you ask? Hey, I didn't say these things are easy to figure out, but yeah, for now, I'll say that. Best legs in metal. Oh my goodness, did he just unnecessarily sexualize her? Yes, I dared to find a woman attractive. It's that kind of show. So this song is really heavy. There's a serious mix between singing and screaming, and it's not just back and forth. It's that the singing is so clean and the screaming is so raw. It's got some weird time signatures. Check it out. I Speak Astronomy by Ginger, Jinjer. And let's just talk about Captain Marvel. I hear a lot of talk about people, they don't know who Captain Marvel is. And I get it. I totally get it. I'm not that big of a comics guy. I own more than the average person. I probably have more knowledge than the average Joe. But, I'm not one of these uber intense collectors or anything. But I know who Captain Marvel is, or Miss Marvel, as I first learned of her, and as I think of her with her black jumpsuit that looks amazing, and her excellent character design. And I actually don't really know what she does because I've only seen her make guest appearances in other people's books. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm familiar with the character. So when I heard she's getting her own movie, I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I gotcha. Then when I heard about the context of it, where we Infinity War comes out, it ends with a cliffhanger, and then we go back in time to Captain Marvel, which takes place before any of the other stories in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was like, I don't really like that approach. I don't really care, I was there for Iron Man. I was in college when Iron Man came out. So I've been around for this whole project. I've seen most of the Marvel movies in the theater, and going back to something that happened before any of this is just not terribly interesting. Even Captain America. I love the Winter Soldier, but the first one, I'm glad they introduced Captain America, but I think it has the really weak ending where they obviously just set up the Avengers, and narratively it just doesn't even make sense to me. It's like if you had ended that without a sequel in mind in that way, or let me put it this way, if you had ended that while planning to make a sequel in 2 years later, I don't think anybody would have liked the movie, but because Avengers was coming out like a month later, it worked, I guess. But, I no matter what you're doing, I feel like you should make standalone movies, whether it's a trilogy, a shared universe, a long-running series, whatever it is. Every movie has to stand up on its own from beginning to end. That doesn't mean you can't expect the audience to know what's going on. It just means don't tack an awkward ending onto an otherwise fairly decent movie. So I wasn't even crazy about that. And then here we go with all this Captain Marvel stuff, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem like the right way to go about things. And then, of course, when the moment actually gets here, we have all this controversy We have Brie Larson doing her press, having to stress, I don't hate white dudes. I don't hate white dudes. I don't hate white dudes. I'm going to sound really frustrated now. Weird facial tic. My shoulders are doing strange things. I have weird body language because I'm getting agitated, but I don't hate white dudes. I don't hate white dudes. It's like, wow, calm down. And so, there's the whole storm around that. People are not happy about it. People were rating the movie, their anticipation for the movie, low on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people think that's why Rotten Tomatoes took down their anticipation score. I wasn't there. I'm not involved in any of this. All I know is what people are saying, but it sounds very likely to me. And of course, a bunch of people blamed it on trolls. It was organized campaigns to make it look, I don't know. But for me, your behavior outside of the film is not usually that big a deal. I mean, every franchise ever is going to have at least one actor who's going crazy or saying things people don't like or whatever the issue is. You could find an issue with everything, so not really worried about that. Then I hear they're trying to make Captain Marvel into this big feminist movie, and I'm just tired of that whole movement. I'm tired of the complaining. I'm tired of the lying. I'm tired of the materialism. I'm tired of the race baiting. I'm tired of the class warfare. I'm tired of the ingratitude. I'm tired of the complaining. I'm tired of the racism. I'm tired of all that. I've never bought into it, but once you see these philosophies for what they are, it just isn't any fun to deal with it. And of course, you have people like John Campea, and I'm sure many others, who, I like listening to John Campea sometimes. I think he actually kind of liked Batman versus Superman. That might be I think that's the last time I ever really focused on what he was saying, because really. But still, he's all defending her like she didn't say she hates men, and she never said these things that people are saying that she said. Look, dude, we don't like the philosophy she's espousing. Okay, she's taking up a side on a cultural debate, and all these people who are complaining about that don't like that side of the debate. And you're free to have your opinion, and you are free to express your opinion. And like I said, it really wouldn't affect me watching the movie that you're expressing your opinion. But a lot of things have happened where I'm not interested in seeing Captain Marvel. If it really is in any way this feminist anthem that people are claiming it is, I don't want to be preached to about values that I don't care about. Let that sink in. I openly do not care about your feminist values. Say whatever you want that you think that means about my opinions about women or about any other social justice cause. Social justice is the societal component to socialism. That's all it is. It's materialistic. It's divisive. I really like free markets, and I've debated whether to even be open about these things when doing a podcast, because I don't just get tired of left-wing conversations about politics and society when I'm just trying to be entertained. I don't like anybody who sounds like they're preaching to me when I'm trying to be entertained. But hey, this is my show. This is going to be a part of the show sometimes, but I realize there are just so many voices for that side of the equation that when this is the way I feel, I need to just be open about the way I feel. And if you think society is still just so awful with so much racism and so much sexism and so much bigotry and everything else that you hate, and we just got to complain all the time because everything is problematic, and it's okay to do things, we just have to feel bad about everything we do because it's problematic. We have to problematize every situation so that while we can't enjoy it, we'll at least be righteous and pure. If that's the way you want to live your life, go for it. Knock yourself out. I'm all about individual freedom. But I'm not going to go watch your movie where you preach that to me. That's my right and my freedom. What really set this off was, The Last Jedi, of course, but the last straw was The Predator. I go into The Predator. It's not a very good movie. It's trying to be funny when it should be anything else. None of the characters are interesting. None of the characters are competent. Even the Predators are not competent. Their weapons automatically do everything they need to do. They retcon the motivations of the Predators. They have the plot does not make sense from point to point. And then, you know who the real villain of the Predator is? Climate change. That's right, people. Not only is climate change so drastic that it's going to kill us all any day now, but this bothers the Predators because they're going to come live here or something, except one who wants to save us. But he comes, and even though he wants to save humans for whatever unestablished reason, he kills a bunch of humans as soon as he lands and strings them up like the trophies that he would be stringing up if he were just a regular predator who was here hunting for fun or honor or whatever they hunt for glory. So he's behaving like that, but he's brought something to, it's a stupid movie. It was the last straw in all of this. It's a stupid movie. I've been so disappointed by so many bad movies lately that I've thought I was immune to it. But then the sun monster reared its ugly head. Ooh, climate change is gonna get you. It's gonna get you. Like, just get over yourselves, people. Get over yourselves. Even if you believe all that, even if you believe we are in imminent danger from climate change, what in the world are you doing putting it in your sci-fi action horror movie? Like, seriously, this is the stuff you complain about from Christians, where supposedly everything, let's be honest, where everything they make is cheesy and didactic and allegorical. I think that's stupid too. But you're going to put it in your big budget, fourth movie in a series. Just come on. Come on. Ooh, scary sun monster. So that was the last straw. I haven't been to a movie since then. I'm not boycotting. I just am not going to waste my time when I can tell I'm going to be preached to about values that I don't care about. So the same thing here. I'm not boycotting Captain Marvel by any stretch of the imagination. If I had seen every Marvel movie in the theater, I might go for it. But I missed Thor because it looked boring, and I was right. Sorry if that's blasphemy. I missed Thor: The Dark World because I finally saw Thor and thought it was pretty boring, and The Dark World is even more boring as far as I'm concerned. I missed Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I just now made up for. I kind of wish I had seen it in the theater. It was much better than I expected, and I'll get into that in just a moment. Other than that, I think I've seen every Marvel movie in the theater. But because I've missed some of them, nope, take it back. Captain America, I missed it for some reason. I didn't mean to. But so since I've missed some of the Marvel movies, I'm just not interested in going to see this one that has been so preachy in its marketing. So nothing against anybody who goes. I'm not going to discourage anyone from going to see Captain Marvel. If you want to take a little girl, that's fine. But just lighten up, man. It's a movie. I don't know what you expect. I don't know. Whatever. Go see it if you want. That is cool. I'm not discouraging anybody. Everybody do what you want. I'm just going to happen to not see this one. And in fact, because of all this stuff, I might be done after Endgame. I have to get through Endgame because I've been there since the beginning. I got to see where this arc goes. But I saw the trailer for the next Spider-Man, and the girl who I think calls herself MJ is all Peter's like, I like you, and or Peter's like, you're pretty, and she's like, oh, therefore I have value, and she's like, just kidding, yeah. Yeah, that's really funny. That's really funny. Masculinity's so toxic, guys. How dare you objectify women by finding them pleasant and attractive. But it's okay because it was just a joke. Whatever. But that brings us to our next segment. Let me tell you about Ant-Man and the Wasp. All right, so I saw Ant-Man in the theater. It was pleasant. It was all right. I recognized that villain guy from House of Cards. He was in House of Cards for a while. And I don't know. I like him. I don't know what it is. I just like watching him. I think he's cool. Maybe it's his head. He has a very shapely head with no hair on it. But I like that guy. It was cool to see him. It was cool to see him in a feature film. After I'd only seen him on House of Cards. I don't remember his name. Tell you what, how about I act like a semi-professional here, and I look up his name. Ant-Man villain. In comics, Elias Starr, known as Egghead. No, that's the father of the girl in this movie. Ant-Man movie villain actor. Okay, that's his picture. That's him. Kevin Feige. Nope, that's the producer. Christoph. No, that's music. I click and I wait. Peyton Reed was the director. I couldn't have told you that. Edgar Wright wrote the screenplay. Oh, I can kind of see that. Yeah, I know who he is. Corey Stoll, is that? Yeah, Corey Stoll. There we go. A picture popped up. He really does have such a shapely head. Like, I can't describe. I wonder if my head looks anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and shave my head if it does. Hair's getting a little thin. I'm going to have to do something about it one day soon. And if I can pull that off, I will be very happy with that. Corey Stoll. So yeah, I liked him. I liked that he was in the original Ant-Man, and I don't remember much else about it. It was funny. It was pleasant. It was okay. It was cool. It got the character introduced for Marvel, and he was useful in Civil War, and I think it made him some money. So good job. And then a few years later, Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out, and it just didn't get my attention. It's nothing against the marketing, not anybody's fault. I just have particular tastes, and that's not my kind of Marvel movie. And if anybody had said, hey, let's go see Ant-Man and the Wasp, I would have, but this particular movie, nobody said, hey, we're going. So I wasn't about to invite anybody else and be like, hey, I'm gonna lead this charge. No, I just wasn't interested. But I see now that it's actually better than the original, because this is not SJW fare. I mean, my goodness, they had the joke in Scott's dream. He's telling Hank, I was your wife, but not in a weird way. That's not a thing an SJW would be okay with. That's so problematic on so many levels. But no, what people keep pointing to is how Hope Van Dyne is just beating everybody up, and Scott's kind of comic relief. And yeah, those are the characters, man. Did you not watch the first one? I saw some guy on YouTube. He's talking like, in the first one, he wasn't like that at all. He was this and that, and he was this. And I was like, dude, I saw the first one. He was a goofball, and he was making mistakes, and he only becomes Ant-Man because he's so goofy that he like steals the suit and tries it on, and Hank makes the most of it. Captain America, he is not. So it's fit perfectly with the character. I'll try to avoid spoilers here, but I mean, there are scenes where he saves Hope. Like, I think that would offend all the Captain Marvel fans. She's about to die, and he's just like, nope, I'm gonna make that not happen. And of course, she got her licks in all throughout the movie, and that's what people are pointing to when they say, oh, they make Scott look silly, and they make Hope look like a total hard case, and blah blah. Yeah, yes, those are the characters as established in the first film. I thought it was pretty funny. I didn't really care about the background comic relief characters, but hey, they were not there all that much. I laughed out loud though. The what is he, Russian, Ukrainian, Eastern European, whatever the guy that works with Scott. I think he's Murdoch on the new MacGyver. I think that's the same actor. But he's like, oh, it's a Baba Yaga. It's a witch. It's a witch, Baba Yaga. And it goes on way too long. It was mildly chuckle worthy, and then they dragged it out just far enough to not be funny. But like 30 minutes later, they're all tied up, and the villain Ghost pops up out of nowhere, and that dude's just like, Baba Yaga. I laughed out loud. That was well done. That was funny. And so the stuff with Scott figuring out what to do with his free time, and him and his daughter, and It was charming enough. It was endearing. It was good characterization. There's nothing wrong with it. Didn't have me sitting, with a tear in my eye going, oh, it's so sweet. But if they were trying to do that, I don't think it would have quite been the movie that they were trying to make. So yeah, everything about it was fine. The only problem I had with it was some crazy editing issues that I have a feeling they realized, whoa, this movie is like just over 2 hours long. What are we doing? And then they cut it down. They're like, it's just Ant-Man. We got to fix that. So there's one scene. I can't complain too much because you can tell what happened. I mean, she knocks a guy off a motorcycle. They cut to something else, and then she's riding away on the motorcycle. But it feels awkward. I feel like there's like one missing motion or something where she should be getting on the bike or something. I don't know. But the one that really got me is near the end. Hank is about to put on an Ant-Man suit. He walks up to the suit and Goliath, what's his name? He's not really Goliath in this context. Lawrence Fishburne's character. Looking it up for you. Yeah, Bill. So you have Hank walking up to an Ant-Man suit, and then it cuts to Bill talking. And then Hank, who you didn't even realize was in the same room, walks up and picks up the conversation with Bill. It's just the most awkward edit in all the Marvel movies, I think. Pretty sure. It jumps out at you, I promise. So, I mean, those kind of things, yeah, those are problems. It's not up to the typical Marvel standard, and it's definitely not a serious movie. It's not Winter Soldier. It's not Infinity War. But it's kind of what we needed, and that's kind of what you want from this version of Ant-Man that they've established. I didn't need the background characters to be quite so prominent, but they toned it down in the important parts. I've heard people complain about things being a little convenient, where the plot just moves from point to point because it needs to, and I kind of get that complaint. Especially in the sense that the only obstacles are physical. They're fight scenes. There's really no having to figure anything out. It's kind of like a video game where you go to a location, you get your mission, and you have conflict on the way to completing that mission, and then you complete it, and then you get your next mission, and then you have conflict on the way to the next mission. So I get that. There's no real matter of figuring out what we have to do next or solving any problems or anything kind of clever like that. I get it. But I don't think it was really a mistake. I think that's what they were going for. And it's fine. It's not a bad movie. It's not a SJW movie. It's not a perfect movie. It's a good movie. I think the relationship between Scott and Hope is good. I'm not quite sure, to be as spoiler-free as, I'll put it this way. I'm not sure why they had to de-age Michelle Pfeiffer's character. That's a little too cryptic. I'm not sure why she aged. I must not really understand, the movie physics of what's happening to people. I'm not sure why she aged. In fact, I thought she was going to be not aged, and then the process that they're trying to do that makes up the whole conflict of the movie, I thought that process was going to then age her in front of us. But, and it's probably explained in there. Like I said, I've seen it once. I just now watched it. I haven't really even had time to process everything that I saw. Not that it's the kind of movie you really have to process, but I think you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I think it's good. I think it's pleasant. I think it's fun. You got yourself a light PG-13 superhero movie. Super light compared to Captain America or any of the Avengers movies. I mean, unlike Iron Man and Captain America and Avengers, I'm pretty sure if you want to assume that nobody got killed, especially bad guys, I can't no, Ghost killed a bad guy. Yeah, Ghost killed a bad guy. But of the heroes, if you want to assume that none of them killed any bad guys, you can assume that in this particular one. It's not Black Panther cutting people up, and it's not Iron Man with his missiles and machine guns, and it's not Captain America with his gun and his knife, which is a really cool scene in the first Captain America when he throws that knife all the way across the room and nails the guy with it, and throws the guy off the helicarrier. All great stuff, by the way. These characters aren't Batman. It's okay for them to be killing people. I only hate Batman killing people because it's not the best version of the character. But I'm just saying, it's kind of got a light tone to it where by sheer luck, I mean, they had some spectacular wrecks and stuff. But if you want to assume no heroes killed any bad guys, you can assume that in this one, I think. So that's my assessment of Ant-Man. It's not bad. It's pretty cool. Had its funny parts. Pretty funny. All right, and that brings us to halftime. Is it really halftime? Is it really halfway through the program? I don't know. I really don't. It's not important that it be semantically or factually halftime. What's important is that it's morally halftime. All right? Once again, today's show is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get close to nature. Experience the primal thrill. For only 99 cents, you can join the tens of survivors choosing to groom an adolescent bear. Join Dollar Shave Club today. All right, welcome back from halftime. Let's begin the third quarter with a top 10 list. Why? Because top 10 lists are fun. If you don't think so, you are incorrect. All right, this top 10 list is going to be my favorite Nintendo Entertainment System games. All right, let's get started. Number 10. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. For one thing, I was a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan anyway. So, of course, the video game is going to be a big part of my childhood. And I actually never beat this game. It might be higher on the list if I had. I made it to the Technodrome, which I'm pretty sure is close to the end of the game, several times. But I never actually beat it. And I haven't tried to play it in the last 15, maybe 20 years. So I probably could figure it out today. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is developed by Konami, apparently. I did not actually realize that. Yeah, cool. Released by Konami. Published by Ultra Games. That part I did know because that part is written all over the packaging. So this is a fun game. You can play as all four turtles and you can switch back and forth, and it's not just a matter of which one looks cool. The different weapons are good in different scenarios, and also if one turtle gets captured, you have the other three before your game is over. And they have, I think, 2 locations where you can rescue a captured turtle if you have been defeated earlier in the game. And so there's a lot of cool stuff to it, a lot of fun. The level where you have to swim and disarm bombs to save a dam is a horrible thing to do to children. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should just look up a playthrough and imagine your 6-year-old self trying to navigate through what you see in front of you. So that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right, number 9, we have Batman, Return of the Joker. Now, this one's a little weird. As you might have picked up on from my comments throughout the show, I love Batman. Batman's great. Always loved Batman. Now, in this game, Batman doesn't really punch people. He shoots energy weapons from a device on his wrist, which is weird and would be really stupid in any other media. But it's a side-scroll Nintendo game, so it worked out, especially because the weapons were kind of cool. All right, so Batman, Return of the Joker was published by Sunsoft. But, it's a fun game. This is the first game where I really saw the story play out in the levels. You could tell that you were kind of traveling from location to location, trying to get through the Joker's, not necessarily plan, but weave through his little army and get to him, which you eventually make it to an island and fight a tank. That's actually pretty cool now that I'm thinking about it. I'd put that in a Batman movie. Speaking of which, if you want to hear my pitch for a Batman movie, That'll be coming up within the next few weeks. But you battle a tank and you face off against the Joker in this like crazy mech thing that he's built, and it's kind of cool. It's a good way to actually balance out how there would actually be an epic boss battle between Batman and the Joker. So that's Batman: Return of the Joker, published by Sunsoft and released in 1991. I don't think I played it until a little while after that, though. Number 8, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Obviously, this is the sequel to Zelda, and I like the original Zelda also, but I think I actually owned Zelda 2 before I owned the original. I played the original first, but I owned this one first, and it's made by Nintendo and came out in 1987, and I absolutely love the... You have the three-dimensional map, the four-direction map, but when you go into a location, it turns into a regular side-scroll fighting game, which was a fun mix, and I really liked that. The reason this game makes the list is just because of how excited I was when I reached Shadow Link that first time and finally beat him and beat the game, and it was awesome. It was a good feeling. So that's Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. All right, number 7. This one might seem odd to be so high on the list, but this was more of a social experience and a family experience. RBI Baseball. RBI Baseball was made by a company called Tengen, I suppose, Tengen. Looking up the information, apparently Atari was involved somehow. Apparently Atari made the original and Tengen ported it to Nintendo or something. Whatever. I do remember Tengen being written on the the actual game. And looking at Wikipedia, this is definitely the cover of the game that I was playing. So RBI Baseball, a lot of fun, from 1988, I believe. It was a little while after that before I remember really playing it. But one of the fun things about the game, once you get good at it, is it's got some crazy pitches. You can really, really curve the ball. You can change the speed drastically, and it did a lot for the limitations of a Nintendo. So that is RBI Baseball. Up next, another sports game, Blades of Steel at number 6. Blades of Steel is another Konami game, and it's from 1988, I believe. Yeah, 1988, late in 1988, and it's a really good hockey game. It's got some goofy stuff where like if you get into a fight, the winner gets to stay on the ice and the loser has to go to the penalty box. I don't know if that's actually supposed to be played as like the loser is too beat up to continue for a minute, but whatever the case is, yeah, if you win the fight, you get to stay on the ice, and if you lose the fight, you had to go to the penalty box. But it was a fun game. I rented it a lot. I don't think I ever actually owned it, which pretty impressive that it gets this high up on the list, but it was that good. I didn't have to own it to appreciate it. All right, number 5, Super Mario Brothers 2. Naturally, being a Mario property, this is from Nintendo, and it came out in 1988. Fascinating story about how this game came about. It was not the original idea for Mario Brothers 2. Some testers thought Mario Brothers 2 was a little intense for American players, and so they reskinned a different game. And it's an interesting story. You should look it up on YouTube. There are documentaries about the whole process. But it was a fun game. It was this is another one where it's really the experience of it is what has it placed so high. So that is Super Mario Brothers 2. All right, at number 4, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. All right, so Ninja Turtles 2, also made by Konami, released in 1990-something, 91? Bing is going crazy and sending me to the original NES game instead of the second one that I'm trying to get information about. I thought I had looked it up earlier, but I had actually gone to the first game. So shame on you, Bing. I use you so I don't have to give Google any more attention than I already do. And you've let me down. I'm just kidding. Not that big a deal. But yeah, so it's fun. It's an arcade game that got ported to the Nintendo. A lot of fun. That is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. All right, at number 3. This list is moving along. We have Jurassic Park, made by Ocean from 1993. This one, there were a lot of Jurassic Park games made for all the different systems. This was actually that time period where Super Nintendo was already out and Sega Genesis, I think, was out. And they were still making original Nintendo games. So, like, every system got 2 Jurassic Park games. But I have a lot of memories of this one. I loved Jurassic Park. I loved everything about Jurassic Park. I read the novel when I was 6 or 7. Hadn't been reading very long. And, obviously I didn't understand every bit of it. It's actually really hard science fiction. Like I'm not saying the stuff in it would work, but it's actually super researched and all based on real ideas. So, I didn't get all of it, but I loved it. I loved dinosaurs, and I loved the trapped on an island nature of it. Number 2, Contra. Yeah, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, number 2? What in the world is number 1 then? It's a close, side by side, very close. Also created by Konami, Contra is basically an 80s action movie put into a side-scroll shooter. And yes, if you have never played it, it is as awesome as that sounds. It's famous for the cheat code, where you can get 30 lives instead of 3. I've never thought of beating it with 3 lives as any point of pride or anything. So I think I might have done it once out of all the times I beat this game. It's like a 15-minute game, maybe 20-minute game. Because it's supposed to be played with 3 lives, and it's really intense, really fast-paced, great for 2 players. So you get your money's worth, and the replay value is insane. It never gets old. So it's kind of fun that it's a short game, so you can just kind of play through it and then do it again. It just starts over. I've seen some playthroughs of the sequels. I've never played the sequels. They don't look nearly as interesting. It's a fun one. You fight aliens. I've seen things talking about like it's originally supposed to be a terrorist organization, but it was changed to aliens for blah blah. The end of the game, you fight a giant beating heart that spawns spiders and scorpions. It's got that fast-paced feel, but it's totally a science fiction meets military game. So that is Contra from 1987, published by Konami. And number 1, favorite Nintendo Entertainment System game, Super Mario Bros. 3. And this one wins not because it's got quite the thrill of Contra, but it's much longer. It has even more variety of locations. It has even more variety of types of missions. And it's so much fun with 2 players. And I just have lots of fond memories of it. So it wins. I love that cover. Just that yellow cover with Mario flying with his raccoon tail, because raccoon tails make you fly. Once again, today's show is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get close to nature. Experience the primal thrill. For only 99 cents, you can join the tens of survivors choosing to groom an adolescent bear. Join Dollar Shave Club today. Next up on the audio variety show is a segment called Respect the Source Material, where I take one intellectual property and I adapt it for a different medium. In the process, I respect all over that source material. Today's source, 80s teen sitcom Saved by the Bell. In 2019, I think it needs to be a motion picture. An epic motion picture directed by Peter Jackson, music by Danny Elfman. The story begins with Sir Zachary the Morris, played by Chris Hemsworth, drinking and gambling as he is wont to do. But this time, his gambling debts are too great, and if he can't pay them off, he will lose his only assets, his family land and title, further disappointing the generations who came before him. Zachary meets with the Slater, played by Antonio Banderas, the shady underworld figure he is indebted to, so named because he keeps up with the names of his debtors on a stone tablet. But it's okay. Lord Kapowski is offering a reward for the return of his daughter, Kelly, played by Lady Gaga. A reward large enough to cover all of Zachary's debts. Unfamiliar with the world beyond his home, Zachary puts on his knightly armor. His crest is a bell surrounding an hourglass, and he takes up his sword. He recruits the goblin known as Screech, played by DJ Qualls, to guide him to the fortress of the evil wizard Belding, played by John Lithgow. On the way, they stop for rest and recreation at a tavern run by Jessica, the man-hating Spano or sorceress, who turns men into pigs. Played by Elizabeth Berkley, because why not? Once her true intentions are revealed, Zachary and Screech are saved by the war maiden Lisa, played by Zoe Saldana. They tell her what they're up to, and she warns them they're not strong enough to defeat Coburn, the Crater-Faced, voiced by Vin Diesel, an ogre who protects the wizard Belding. So Zachary travels to the coast and takes his life in his hands to tame a Bayside tiger. Once he succeeds, he rides the tiger into combat against Coburn, slays him, and rescues Kelly. But as they try to escape the fortress, Belding confronts them. He's all, "I thought you loved me," and Kelly's all, "I could never love a monster like you." So Belding casts a spell trying to kill her. But Zachary throws himself in the way, and time stops. The bell and the hourglass on his armor, they begin to glow. He has unlocked the ancient Morris family power within himself and taken his place as a true hero among his people. With control of time, he defeats the wizard, saves Kelly, receives his reward, pays off his debts, and poses triumphantly alongside Screech, Lisa, and his new love Kelly, having saved his birthright and found the true nobility within himself. Roll credits. Directed by Peter Jackson. Music by Danny Elfman, Chris Hemsworth, John Lithgow, Zoe Saldana, with DJ Qualls, Lady Gaga, Antonio Banderas, and Elizabeth Berkley. Saved by the Bell. Thanks for listening. This is the Audio Variety Show. I'm your host, Cam. Come back next week. We'll talk about more music. We'll have another sponsor. And next week, I will read you an original story and play you an original song. If you have a story you'd like me to read, please attach it to audiovarietyshow@outlook.com. And, of course, leave a name or a nickname or a gamer tag or a handle or an alias. Give me something to call you. Give me something to attribute the story to. All right, once again, big thanks to Dollar Shave Club, and we will see you guys next week.